Welcome to Study Hall Art Explored. You know, today we are all about kind of unlocking the secrets of a single artwork. One you've probably seen around, but maybe haven't truly
Well,
seen. You know what I mean?
oh, I know exactly what you mean.
We're talking about Banksy's Girl with Balloon.
Yes. Girl with Balloon. It's a deceptively simple piece, but it's really become like a global icon.
Exactly. And you know what? This deep dive is really for anyone who's ever looked at like a famous artwork and thought what's all the fuss about? We're going to break it all down. The symbolism, the context, the why behind the power.
Yeah, no art degree required for this one. Just a little curiosity.
Think of it like a crash course in understanding what makes art tick. And who better to guide us through all this than Banksy, like the art world's ultimate enigma.
Right.
He's like, the Batman of the art world.
Yeah.
Masked, mysterious, always leaving his mark on unexpected surfaces, except instead of fighting crime, he's out there sparking conversations.
Yeah. Exactly. Girl with Balloon is a prime example of that. It first appeared in London back in 2002. But to really get its impact, we need to kind of rewind a bit, think about what was going on in the world back then.
Okay, so set the stage for us. What was 2002 like?
Well, picture this. The world was still reeling from 9/11. Anxieties about the looming Iraq war were growing. And there was this feeling of uncertainty about the future. Globalization was in full swing, but not everyone was thrilled about its impact on culture and society.
So a bit of a turbulent time, to say the least. Definitely not all sunshine and rainbows.
Not quite, and it was in this climate of disillusionment and unease that Banksy created Girl with Balloon. So many people think that it reflects kind of the anxieties and fragile hopes of that era.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So let's zoom in on the artwork itself for those who haven't seen it. Can you describe it for our listeners?
Yeah, imagine a simple black and white stencil of a young girl, her hair's pulled back, reaching out towards a bright red heart-shaped balloon that seems to be floating away from her. It's painted directly onto a wall, which is typical of Banksy's street art style.
It's interesting though, right? Because even with this limited color palette and this kind of simple composition, the image, it immediately grabs your attention. What do you think makes it so visually striking?
The contrast, absolutely. The stark black and white of the girl against that vibrant red balloon. It's like a masterclass in visual storytelling. Your eye is instantly drawn to the balloon like a beacon of hope against the monochrome backdrop.
It's like that pop of color is just shouting, "Look at me!"
Exactly. And that's where the symbolism starts to kick, because of course this isn't just any balloon. It's heart-shaped.
Okay, so now we're getting to the good stuff, the symbolism. Let's break down those layers. What does that red heart-shaped balloon represent?
Well, the heart is a universal symbol of love, right? But it can also represent hope, innocence, dreams, even vulnerability. And that vibrant red, it kind of amplifies those emotions. It adds a sense of urgency and passion.
And yet it's floating away. There's this tension, this sense of loss looming over the whole image. It's like watching something precious slip from your grasp.
That's a really great observation. And that tension, that's precisely what makes this artwork so captivating. It speaks to that universal fear of losing the things we hold dear, whether it's love, hope, or even a sense of innocence in a world that can feel increasingly cynical and jaded.
And the girl, what's her story?
She's reaching out, yearning for that balloon, almost desperate to hold on to whatever it represents. Some people see her gesture as a sign of hope, of striving for something better, while others interpret it as a symbol of loss and the futility of chasing after those fleeting dreams.
It's almost like Banksy's inviting us to project our own interpretations onto the artwork, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and that's what makes art so powerful, right? It sparks conversation. It invites us to think critically and engage with it on a personal level.
Right.
There's no single right answer, and that's part of the beauty. What do you think the girl's gesture says to you?
Honestly, I've always seen it as a blend of hope and melancholy. Like, she's clinging to the belief that she can reach that balloon, even though it's already slipping away. It's a feeling a lot of us can relate to, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And let's not forget the location Banksy chose for this artwork. It wasn't some pristine gallery wall, it was a bridge.
Well, that's a good point. Why do you think he chose a bridge specifically?
Well, bridges are all about transitions, about moving from one place to another, and I think that ties in beautifully with the themes of the artwork. It's like the girl is on the cusp of change, perhaps moving from childhood to adulthood or from hope to disillusionment. The bridge becomes a visual metaphor for that journey.
It's fascinating how Banksy uses such simple elements to convey such complex ideas, and the fact that he uses stencils and spray paint tools often associated with street art and counterculture makes it even more impactful.
Precisely, he's taking art out of those elitist spaces and bringing it to the streets, making it accessible to everyone. It's a deliberate statement about who gets to create and consume art.
And that accessibility is probably a big part of why Girl with Balloon has resonated with so many people worldwide.
I think so. It's an image that speaks to something universal about the human experience, regardless of background or culture. The desire for love, hope, and a sense of wonder. These are things we all share.
Okay, so we've established the context, the symbolism, the location, but there's another layer to this story that we can't ignore: the shredding stunt.
Ah, yes. The infamous moment that sent shockwaves through the art world and beyond.
In 2018, a framed version of Girl with Balloon was auctioned off at Sotheby's, fetching over £1 million. But right after the hammer fell, it self-destructed.
It was a meticulously planned act of artistic rebellion. As soon as the artwork was sold, a hidden shredder built into the frame activated, partially shredding the canvas right there in the auction house.
Talk about a plot twist. The image of that partially shredded canvas, retitled "Love is in the Bin," instantly went viral.
It was a brilliant move that forced everyone to re-examine the value we place on art. It was like Banksy was saying, you think you can buy and own art? Think again.
He literally turned the tables on the art market. But why do you think he chose to do this with Girl with Balloon specifically?
That's a great question, perhaps, because it was his most recognizable piece, the one that had been commodified and reproduced countless times. It was almost like he was reclaiming it, saying, this belongs to the streets, not to some collector's vault.
Or maybe he was commenting on the very idea of fleeting beauty, how things we hold dear can vanish in an instant, just like that balloon drifting away. The shredding becomes this powerful metaphor for that loss.
That's a fascinating interpretation, and it perfectly encapsulates the complex layers of meaning embedded in this seemingly simple artwork.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We've gone from global anxieties in 2002 to the intricacies of symbolism, from the heart-shaped balloon to the symbolism of bridges, and then to that shocking shredding stunt.
Woof. It's amazing how much there is to unpack in a single image.
Absolutely. Girl with Balloon isn't just a pretty picture. It's a cultural phenomenon that continues to spark conversations and challenge our perceptions of art.
And we're not done yet. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore how Girl with Balloon became a global icon, how it's been interpreted and reinterpreted, and what it tells us about the power of art in the 21st century. But before we jump into that, I want to pose a question to you, our listener. After hearing all this, what does Girl with Balloon mean to you? Take a moment to think about it. We'll pick up this thread in part 2.
Welcome back, art explorers. I hope you've all had a moment to ponder the meaning of Girl with Balloon for you personally. It's remarkable how just a single image can evoke such a wide range of emotions and, different interpretations from different people.
It really is. And speaking of interpretations, Girl with Balloon has become like a global phenomenon, hasn't it? I mean, you see it everywhere. T-shirts, murals, even tattoos. It's transcended the realm of street art and become a real pop culture icon.
It certainly has, and that widespread appeal, I think, speaks to the artwork's ability to tap into something deeply human, Those themes of hope, loss, and longing, they resonate with people from all walks of life, regardless of their cultural background.
I think its simplicity also plays a big role. It's such a clean, powerful image that it can be easily adapted and reproduced.
Absolutely. But it's not just about aesthetics. Girl with Balloon has become a symbol of resilience, of holding on to hope even in the face of adversity. It's a reminder that even when things feel bleak, there's always a flicker of something beautiful and hopeful to strive for.
And it's interesting how its meaning has evolved over time, especially after that whole shredding incident. Before, it's primarily seen as a symbol of hope and longing. But now it's also become a symbol of resistance, of challenging the art market and its commodification of art.
Yeah. The shredding stunt added a whole new layer of meaning to the artwork. It transformed it from a melancholic but hopeful image into a really powerful statement about the nature of art and value itself. It's like Banksy was saying, you think you can buy and own art? Think again.
It's almost like he gave the artwork a second life, even more potent and thought-provoking than before.
Exactly. And this act of self-destruction ironically made the artwork even more sought after. The partially shredded canvas, retitled "Love is in the Bin," has become an even more valuable and iconic piece, further highlighting those contradictions and absurdities of the art market.
It's fascinating how Banksy managed to turn the tables on the art world using their own game against them.
It's a masterclass in subversion, and it goes to show that art has the power to disrupt, to challenge the status quo, and to spark those important conversations about the way we value and consume art.
Speaking of challenging the status quo, Girl with Balloon isn't an isolated piece. It fits within a larger body of work that Banksy has created over the years, all touching on similar themes.
That's an excellent point. You can see echoes of Girl with Balloon in other Banksy pieces like Flying Balloon Girl and Follow Your Dreams, both of which explore similar themes of hope and dreams and the fleeting nature of those aspirations. And in works like One Nation Under CCTV and Napalm, you see that same anti-establishment streak, that critique of authority and societal control.
It's like Girl with Balloon became a sort of visual shorthand for those recurring themes in Banksy's work.
I think so. It's become an emblem of his artistic style and his worldview. And it's fascinating to see how this one image has connected with people on such a global scale, inspiring countless interpretations and adaptations.
Speaking of adaptations, have you seen any particularly interesting ones that stand out to you?
Oh, definitely. There was this one mural that popped up in Paris shortly after the Bataclan terrorist attacks back in 2015. It depicted the girl from Girl with Balloon holding a peace sign instead of the heart-shaped balloon. It was a powerful statement of solidarity and hope in the face of tragedy.
It's amazing how art can be reinterpreted and recontextualized to fit specific situations and emotions.
It speaks to the enduring power of symbols, how they can transcend time and place to convey universal messages. And it also highlights how art can be a powerful tool for healing, for protest, for expressing shared emotions.
It's interesting to think about how Girl with Balloon has become such a cultural touchstone, especially for a generation that grew up in the post-9/11 world. It's almost like a visual representation of their hopes and anxieties of navigating a world that can feel increasingly uncertain.
That's a brilliant observation. And it goes back to that idea we discussed earlier about how art reflects the times in which it was created. Banksy, whether intentionally or not, created an artwork that perfectly captured the zeitgeist of the early 2000s, and its resonance has only grown stronger over the years.
And as we move further into the 21st century, with its own set of challenges and anxieties, I wonder how the meaning of Girl with Balloon will continue to evolve.
That's a fascinating question, and it's one that we as viewers and participants in this ongoing cultural conversation get to help shape.
Yeah.
The beauty of art is that it's open to interpretation. It's a dialogue that never truly ends.
Okay, so before we wrap up this second part of our deep dive, I have a little challenge for our listeners. I want you to imagine you're Banksy. You've just created Girl with Balloon back in 2002. What message were you trying to convey to the world? What emotions were you hoping to evoke? Take a moment to step into those shoes and see what insights you can glean. We'll be back in the final part to discuss your thoughts and wrap up our exploration of Girl with Balloon. Welcome back to our final segment on Banksy's Girl with Balloon. Hopefully you've had a chance to, imagine yourself as Banksy for a moment, pondering that message behind this iconic artwork.
It's a really great exercise, isn't it, to kind of try to step into the mind of the artist, understand their motivations and the emotions that they're trying to convey.
It really is. And, as we've been discussing Girl with Balloon, it's more than just an image. It's like a cultural phenomenon. It's been interpreted and reinterpreted, adapted and appropriated, and its meaning just continues to evolve.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the power of art to transcend boundaries, to spark conversations and connect with people on a deeply personal level.
We've talked about the historical context, the symbolism, the location, the shredding stunt, its global impact. Yeah. But I think there's one more aspect we should touch on before we wrap up.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that?
This question of whether Girl with Balloon would be as powerful if it weren't street art. If it had been created as a traditional canvas painting hung in a gallery, would it have had the same impact?
That's a really thought-provoking question. It definitely adds another layer to the whole conversation. I think the fact that it was originally street art meant to be temporary and accessible to everyone played a crucial role in its popularity.
Right. There's something about its placement on a random wall outside the confines of the traditional art world that makes it feel more authentic, more raw, more connected to the everyday lives of people.
Absolutely. It's like a gift to the city, a moment of beauty and reflection amidst the urban chaos. And its ephemerality, the fact that it could be painted over or vandalized at any moment, adds to its allure. It's like a fleeting glimpse into the mind of the artist, a message whispered on a wall and then gone.
And that element of mystery is so essential to Banksy's persona, isn't it? The fact that we don't know who he is, that he operates outside the established art world, makes his work all the more intriguing.
It definitely does. It adds a layer of intrigue and subversiveness, and it allows the art to speak for itself without the baggage of the artist's identity or biography. It's a pure expression of ideas and emotions unfiltered by the art market or the cult of personality.
You know, it's ironic that even though the original Girl with Balloon has been partially shredded, its image has been reproduced and disseminated so widely that it's become even more ubiquitous.
Yeah.
It's almost like the shredding stunt in trying to destroy the artwork actually ensured its immortality.
It's a real paradox, isn't it? And it speaks to the nature of art in the digital age, how images can be replicated and shared instantaneously, taking on a life of their own. Even in its fragmented form, Love is in the Bin continues to spark conversations and challenge our perceptions of art and value.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Banksy's Girl with Balloon, I think the biggest takeaway is that art is a conversation. It's not a passive experience. It's an active engagement with ideas, emotions, and perspectives.
I couldn't agree more. And Girl with Balloon is a perfect example of how art can invite us to think critically, to question assumptions, and to connect with each other on a deeper level.
And that connection, that shared experience, is what makes art so powerful and enduring. Whether it's a simple stencil on a wall or a masterpiece hanging in a museum, art has the power to move us, to inspire us, and to challenge the way we see the world.
So to our listeners, the next time you encounter a piece of art, whether it's a street mural, a sculpture in a park, or a painting in a gallery, take a moment to really look at it. Think about the context, the symbolism, the artist's intentions. Ask yourself what it means to you. And remember, there's no right or wrong answer. The beauty of art lies in its ability to spark unique interpretations and conversations.
And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to create some art of your own. After all, everyone has a story to tell, and art is a powerful way to share those stories with the world.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those creative sparks flying.